Well, we can go ahead and get started. And I want to welcome Ronnie Vaughn for being new. I'm so glad that you were able to make it to
Thanks.
this session. And tonight is going to be a dive into Kabbalah, right, which is a spiritual practice, a spiritual technology. And before we dive in, I'm just going to kind of go over a few things. First of all, this is brought to you by Reconnect nonprofit, specifically the Reconnect Ancestry Fund, which prioritizes bringing holistic health and wellness to underserved communities of color. And Reconnect was founded by Cliff Divine, who's here with us on the call as well. And this is a global movement that he launched in 2016 in Paris after the Bataclan attacks. And he then completed a 50-state journey, a peace journey, spreading peace across all of the 50 US states, and really focused on bringing people together physically and the understanding that healing happens collectively. So it was featured on all different news stations across all the 50 states and honored at the Academy Awards and the United Nations. And we have an upcoming docuseries in pre-production as well. That's all very exciting. Hi, Tisha. Hopefully you're able to hear us now. Okay, good. Um, do appreciate us having cameras on when possible, just to support connection. Again, Reconnect is all about physical connection, but when possible, if we're on Zoom, of course, at least having the visual is helpful. Making sure we're honoring every voice and lived experience and sharing airtime. There will be time for Q&A at the end, so take your notes, and if you have any questions, you can write them down, and then we can go over any questions at the end. I may redirect any of you at some point to a deeper session for certain questions, depending on the extent. I know we can go pretty deep in these sessions, so sometimes it might be something for an even deeper session. And then would love for everyone to stay to the end because we do have guided breath work and affirmations led by Cliff, and we'll also be doing a giveaway. Um, so a little bit about me. My name is Megan Devine, and I am, if you, it's okay if you didn't get to see the human design sessions. All of that, Ron Yvonne will be in the replays. You can get your chart and all of that, but I am an emotional manifester, and I'm certified in holistic health, and I have advanced certification in human design and a certification in Reiki as well. And I have studied Kabbalah up to level 7. Um, there are 10 levels total, but I'm up to level 7 at this point. And I actually discovered Kabbalah through human design and my studies of human design. So before we dive in, I want us to all get to know each other a little bit better. And we're going to be answering this question together. So the question is, in the past week, did you notice a moment when you reacted automatically instead of consciously choosing your response? So, a moment when you reacted automatically instead of consciously choosing your response. I want you to think about what happened in that moment, what emotion or pattern showed up for you, and then what might you do differently with more awareness. So, if instead in that moment, let's say you had paused and given yourself some time to have the awareness and respond instead of react, what might have gone differently? So, again, a moment when you reacted automatically instead of consciously. What happened? What emotion came up? And what might you do differently with more awareness? All right, I am going to send you into breakout rooms. You'll have a couple of minutes to share. Just remember to share the airtime, and then we will bring it back. All right, they are open. Hello, welcome back.
Hey, y'all.
Did we have a good time?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Amazing. Okay, I would love to hear from a couple of folks. Um, so let's have Ronnie Vaughn. Do you want to start us off? What was the moment that you shared about?
It was, as I told Marlon, for me, it just seems like it's the only emotion that I can think of, and it's so innocuous, it's not even important. I was on a hike today, and I should have probably taken a little more time before I took a step, and I didn't. And the rocks kind of got out from underneath me, and I probably should have taken that extra step. But sometimes, or moment, but when you're in the moment and you're moving along with a group of people, you're just trying to go because you don't want to hold up, the crowd, but you also don't want to hurt the people behind you when the rocks are falling kind of down their way. So you do try to be cognizant, but sometimes you're just moving. And I think if I would have just taken that moment and 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 stopped feeling rushed, because I feel rushed a lot.
Mm,
And if I would have just breathed, maybe taken
Mm,
a breath
yeah.
and then moved on. But it seems like such an unimportant situation, truthfully. So that's where I'm at.
Honestly, no, that's actually a beautiful like illustration, a physical illustration of kind of everything that happens to us, emotionally. That was like a real physical situation. And I would love for you to, if you go back to the previous sessions, you'll see there's a way that you can get your free human design chart. And I would love to see if you might have an open root center on your body graph, because that's like that I do too, but that's the same thing. I feel pressure, and Cliff knows that even this has happened to us, this exact situation when hiking, I'm like feeling rushed and then I like follow too.
Yes, absolutely. Uh, I lost you. I can't hear you anymore.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
hold on. So let's check. I'm getting like an alert thing. Hold on. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can
it's
hear just a little muffled.
yeah, it sounds like you went from being on loudspeaker to like headphones,
That's a
maybe.
great example.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm double check. Audio. Um, Okay, are you able to hear me? Yes.
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 All right, great. Okay, let's have one more person share. Tisha, what did you say for your moment?
Well, I think I'm a little bit more clear of my moment. Um, but I was with a friend this week and I was given some unsolicited advice and the emotion, and then I responded in a way that felt inauthentic to me because I really didn't want the advice. Um, and this is also a friendship that I think I've been processing even after my separation, noticing similar things. But I responded inauthentically because I agreed, and I think what showed up for me was just that feeling of like, oh, I do this a lot just to people please. Um, and I think what I might have done differently, or what might you do differently with more awareness? I think if I could go back to that moment, I would have paused um, and maybe thought of a time to revisit the conversation. I don't know if it was the best time in that scenario to share that I was looking for more support than advice. Um, there was, as I was sharing with Cliff, there was alcohol in the other person's system. So I didn't want to like with that. So it would have
Yeah.
been nice to maybe just pause and then maybe find a different time to bring up that I'm really just looking for support and not advice at this
Yeah.
time in my life.
Yeah, I totally feel you.
But it was
Yeah,
interesting to watch myself inauthentically respond.
right. Yeah. And I do know that you're also an emotional like I am. And that's definitely happened to me too, where I might even like reaffirm what the person's saying, even though
Mm-hmm.
inside I'm just like, that is not at all what I wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
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 No, I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that. Yeah. And that's, I feel like even more so as an emotional, I really need to learn that pause, um, to actually give myself the time to like process what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. All right. Well, thank you so much for those of you who shared. And then welcome to Charles. If you are able to turn on your camera, that would be amazing, just so we can all be connected visually as well. And I would love for us to just review from last week. So it's totally okay if you weren't here last week. But for those of us that were, if we could just kind of go through a quick review of the centers in human design. So for the folks who are new, these are also aligned to the Hindu chakra system. So if you've seen kind of that graphic where you have like the different chakras like kind of stacked on top of one another, they're connected. So the bottom one here, this very bottom square, who remembers what this is called? Very bottom square. Marlon, do you know?
The root.
Yes, good. That's the root center. And then this next square up here in the center. Cliff, do you know what this one is called?
The sacral.
Yes, the sacral. And then the one here on the left, to the left of the sacral. Tisha, do you know what that one is?
Is that the spleen or is it the
It
one on the right?
is.
Okay,
Yes,
that's the spleen.
you're right. It's a spleen. And then the one on the right, do you remember that one? This is the one that you and I have defined because we're emotionals.
Solar plexus.
Solar plexus. And then this little tiny triangle here, Cliff, what is that one?
The ego. Okay.
Yes, good. The ego or the heart. And then Marlon, do you remember this diamond shape in the center, what this one's called?
Um, the Ashland.
Oh, you're close. That one's right up here. This one is the
Oh wait.
G center.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no, you're all good. So the G center, there's a
Okay.
lot to remember. The G center is where we have our identity. And then the next one up, which is the one that all manifestors and manifesting generators have defined, that we use our voices for. Tisha, do you remember what that one is?
Throat.
Good. And then this one, Marlon, is where we get the ajna. And then the final one at the top, Cliff, do you remember what that one's called?
The the cloud. No. No.
Yes, the eyeball.
The mental. The
Starts with a
head.
C. The thing you
The
wear.
crown. The crown. The
There
crown. The
it is.
crown.
Yeah,
The crown.
okay. Like
The
you wear
cloud.
the cloud. Yes, exactly. Okay, wonderful. So those are all of the centers that we went over last week. So now I want us to dive in to tonight's topic, which is Kabbalah. So Kabbalah is an ancient spiritual wisdom that essentially gives us the laws of the universe, right? It tells us how everything in the universe operates. It expresses the purpose of human life, what our souls are here to do. And it also kind of gives us this relational correlation between consciousness and reality. Now, the word Kabbalah means to receive. And so it's really about how are we able to receive light and then give light. And the goal in Kabbalah, the goal of receiving is always in order to give. So when we have the intention of whatever I receive, it's so that I can give more. That is like the purest form of receiving and giving. All right. So anyway, the goal of Kabbalah, and it's so funny because in Kabbalah, they have an entire calendar that lays out the days according to whether they're mostly positive or negative days, in the sense that on a positive day, let's say we have like kind of like a layer of spiritual protection, whereas on the quote unquote negative days, the level of spiritual protection is lower. And so we kind of have to be like more proactive, more aware. And surprise, surprise, today is a negative day. So that makes sense that the one day I was like literally looking ahead like months in advance on like the days for this webinar. I was like, I want them all to be positive, but it was like just not possible with like the timing. So this is the only one where it's negative and the only time we've had a troll, but it makes sense Kabbalistically. So essentially, Kabbalah really teaches us that we are here to transform. That is the ultimate goal. And so we come into this life with different things, different kind of like spiritual baggages that are from our past lives, and we're here to transform those things. So that's the ultimate goal. In Kabbalah, there is an origin story, and it's, you know, similar to what we know as the Big Bang, right? But essentially, their origin story involves kind of just this epic mass of infinite light, right? So in the beginning, there was only infinite light, which is pure consciousness or unconditional giving, the creative life force. We could call it different things. And essentially, in order for creation to exist, the light created vessels to receive it. So the human beings and the souls inside the human beings are those vessels. We are the vessels, right? So this Big Bang moment that happened was essentially kind of the ultimate vessel was receiving so much light that it actually shattered into millions of little tiny vessels, which is all of our different souls, right? So this concept of oneness is that we all came from the original vessel, and now we're just these little pieces that are there to embody the light in our own way. So what is the light, right? In Kabbalah, the light, again, it's this creative, like fundamental force of the universe. And there are different ways that it can express itself. For example, through love, through wisdom, abundance, clarity, creativity, healing. When we feel inspired, aligned, and peaceful, then we are experiencing flow of the light, right? People talk about flow state. That's exactly what we're talking about. It's when the love, the wisdom, the abundance, the clarity, and the creativity and the healing are flowing through us. Okay, so we are receiving light and we are able to give light. And in Kabbalah, they teach that light is always available, right? Infinite light is always available. It's really just our consciousness that determines whether or not we get access to it, okay, and how much we can receive. There are different ways that we can be like the light, which is the ultimate goal, right? And it's in the light's nature to give. So in Kabbalah, they talk about always coming from a giving place. However, coming from a giving place doesn't always necessarily translate into literally giving someone something, right? Sometimes the most giving thing we can do is kick someone out of a Zoom session, because that's, in that case, we are being like the light, because as Cliff knows, when he's now gotten into more protective phases of reconnect, right? Once we have the light and once we have love, we have to also protect it. And so we know that transformation happens once we go from that reactivity that we talked about at the beginning, right? When we talked about not pausing and just speaking from a place of reactivity, that's when we're disconnecting from the light. But when we pause and when we give ourselves that time to actually respond as opposed to react, that's when we're connecting back to the light. And again, practicing generosity, compassion, taking responsibility for our growth. That's kind of the biggest component that for some people, when they first discover Kabbalah, can be a little bit challenging or off-putting, is this concept that ultimately there is no one else responsible. We are responsible for ourselves, for our transformation, and for everything that we receive and give in life. And so that can be challenging in the sense that, it's when I grew up, for example, going to church and learning that you go to this building and that you have to read this book and that's how you connect to the light, right? But ultimately, we have it within ourselves. We can always access it, and it's always up to us. There is a concept in Kabbalah. Another way to be like light is by practicing certainty. And this is something that needs clarified, right? Because in our normal kind of like understanding of certainty, it's this thing where like, oh, I know for sure this is how it's going to happen and it's going to go my way. Like I'm 100% certain, right? But in Kabbalah, that's not actually what we mean by certainty. We don't just mean I have this blind optimism that everything's going to work out exactly how I want it to. In Kabbalah, certainty is actually about knowing that everything comes from the light. It's all good, and it's all here to help me transform. And what that means is that even when we can't see what the purpose is yet, or even when we don't understand, like, why is this showing up in my movie right now? Why is this person coming in and saying mean things, etc.? Like, even if we don't understand, we have certainty that it's here to teach me something, right? There's something that I'm supposed to learn from this, and it's my job to figure out what and why, right? That's the certainty. So the certainty is that it's all coming from the light and it's all here to help me transform. And it's really something that, to this day, like I've been studying Kabbalah for a while, but to this day, like there's always still going to be moments where you feel doubt or uncertainty, right? And the goal is just to increase the percentage of the time where you feel this deep inner knowing that the light is always present, even if you can't see the outcome, right? So it's really just about getting more and more practice and getting that more consistently, as opposed to, you know, feeling bad every time you doubt. Like there's going to be doubts. That's going to come in at some point, but it's really about getting more and more consistent with the certainty. The other thing in Kabbalah is when it comes to responsibility, is that they teach us that our soul does return to this world across multiple incarnations, and that the goal of coming back is really to correct past patterns that were detrimental, right? And so we're really here to transform these inherited tendencies that would cause us to go into darkness. And so there's a process which is called Tikkun in Kabbalah, which means correction or repair. And essentially, we are looking for what is the thing that my soul most needs to correct in this lifetime. Of course, there's going to be multiple things. It's not only one thing, but we're looking for what is it that my soul needs to correct or repair, and that way I can gain as much access to the light in this lifetime as possible, right? And then hope that going into the next life, I have less things to repair, right? So each journey, we're making as much of a correction as possible and before going into the next journey. And knowing this, right, that means that we are responsible for our reactions, for our growth, and for our transformation, right? So every time we get challenged, it's always going to be a part of our growth. Okay, there's something here to help us grow. to dive a little bit more into Tikkun specifically, these are the kinds of things that if you have your human design chart, right, you can actually, to overlap them, you can look and see, for example, I, as a manifester, my strategy is to inform, right? And so growing up, I actually had a really hard time speaking out and informing, right? So one of my tikkun or correction is understanding when it's appropriate to speak out and speaking out for myself, right? So when we talk about a correction, sometimes it can be like around a certain aspect of your design. Um, and any gift that you have in your human design, right? If you look at the gates or the gifts, there's like a list of different numbers where it shows you your gates. You'll be able to see that there's a light side and a shadow side. And so the shadow is the tikkun that you have to transform. And we each have, unique spiritual work that we're here to do, right? So all of our different experiences that challenge us really are here to reveal what needs to be repaired. And this this journey is, there's ones that are going to be like more obvious for you, right? And then there's ones that are going to be more subtle, where it might have to come from somebody else pointing it out. But some of them you're going to be able to see right away in yourself and be like, okay, yeah, I know I need to work on that. And then other things, it's going to be really interesting when you might have to, and this is part of Kabbalah 1. When you take Kabbalah 1, by the way, they actually have you do what's called the phone call. And that's where you actually have to call someone that knows you really well and have them tell you everything that you need to change about yourself. So it's yeah, it's very interesting. But I did that and I called my friend. Actually, her name is Yvonne, the friend that I called. um, and she doesn't hold back. She's a Scorpio. So she was just like, okay, yeah, I'll tell you. I see Ronnie Vaughn giving the thumbs up. Are you also a Scorpio? Oh my gosh, amazing. Another Scorpio in the house. I love it. So yes, um, highly encourage you, if you take Kabbalah 1 or want to experience that journey. It's very powerful to have that moment where somebody just tells you everything you need to change. um, okay. And then I do want to just talk about, to summarize, a few patterns that are going to help us interrupting these inherited patterns. And it's funny because I don't only mean inherited right from like our parents. Some of them are definitely inherited from our parents, but those are actually like the conditioned patterns, right? So you have the conditioning of your parents and your family, society, people around you, but then you have the inherited, meaning it's inherited from your past life, right? It's your own soul inheritance that's coming. The other thing they say in Kabbalah is that we choose our parents. So they actually say that our soul comes into this world seeking specifically, okay, I need these two other souls to help me with whatever it is I'm supposed to correct in this life, to make the perfect combination. So a couple of the big ones: pausing before reacting. In Kabbalah, pausing is huge. That's one of the first things that they talk about, is really, instead of reacting, we want to respond, right? Which, especially as Tisha, you're a generator. So responding is, kind of the entire goal of your design. And specifically, we want to respond as opposed to reacting. So we can kind of interrupt those automatic emotional patterns. And then taking that conscious responsibility, right? So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? It's, what can I learn here? Or what is this here to teach me? And they also kind of talk about the different levels of, oh, this is happening to me. That's like the surface level, like the lowest level. Next level up is, this is happening for me, meaning like, oh, I could see how, this could be good for me, or down the line, this might help to teach me something. The highest level is that it's happening through me, meaning that I am a vessel, right? And I am here to channel the light and everything that is coming through that in order to give. The next tool is gratitude and generosity. I know these sound like really basic and generic, but the frequency and vibration of feeling and holding that gratefulness for what you already have and for all the blessings that you already have is what attracts more blessings. And lastly, but definitely not least, is the breathing and awareness. That's really helpful when you want to pause, is going back to your breath, right? Which Cliff is going to lead us in some breath work a little bit later, but it's very, very helpful to get more clarity, grounding, and again, to kind of stave off any reactive behavior and come from a place of grounding when we do respond, um, because of the calming of the nervous system. So I know these are kind of big concepts, and this was, like an overview for what it is. But I would love for us to have some discussion around which of the concepts that I discussed did you find the most meaningful or relevant for your life right now? Talk about what resonated with you, and then how you might apply it in your daily life. If you want to go back, Tisha, for example, not saying you have to, but if you want to go back to the example that you gave around not pausing and then kind of apply, what we talked about to that, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, would love for you to be able to share with one another just kind of what's landing for you and what's resonating. And I will send you into some breakout rooms. Give me 1 second. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh,
All
Hello.
right. So let's share out a little bit of what we discussed. Marlon, can you start us off?
Yes. Okay, so I really, I think I answered it correctly. I do love the concept that we all come from the same light. You know what I'm saying? Like like most people know it as a Big Bang, but um, I grew up Christian, right? But I've said for the longest, like, what if they had the Big Bang wrong? Maybe they were close, but maybe you know what I'm saying. It's like, but this does make a lot of sense. Like the souls are the result of that light dispersing within all of us. So we all have the capacity to hold that light for different purposes. Like if you're a believer, you have the body of Christ. Everybody is a part of that body, but just have different roles within that body. So which I love. And also the parents thing, that made me think, like, what did I come here to learn? Like I had amazing parents, but I feel like I'm still learning.
Yeah. That's really
Yeah, so definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Marlon. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Tisha, what about you?
yeah, so much of it resonates. And it's beautiful that it's like you put into words a lot of the things that I feel like I've been learning over the last few years. And like Marlon, I grew up Christian. And so there's parts of me that have felt guilty, scared, um, shameful for going outside. And then as I was sharing with Ronnie Vaughn, how everything that I've also still learned was from a human. Like everything that I've ever learned, even when it comes to, everything still comes from humans. So I've in the last few years had to go in a lot. So pretty much everything that was on the last few screens just validates everything. And I'm like, it makes sense why I've met the people that I've met and who's in my life. Like it makes sense, my parents, because like Marlon, I have wonderful parents, but I also learned so much from them, through them, with them. Um, and there's just so many things are reflections, and I'm just like, of course, it all just makes so much sense. Um, yeah. So it's just very validating. And one thing, it's funny because I don't know if you and Cliff remember, but I can't remember what the question you guys asked me when we were at coffee once. And one of my response was, what was something that I would do, I think when I was 18 or something like that. And I wish I did pause more because I feel like, and it makes sense because I'm a generator and I respond, but I don't always have the initial first reaction that is the truest. And so I wished for myself to have paused more in life. And I want to continue to give myself time and space to process and pause. And that doesn't mean that it has to be forever, but it could just be a breath. So I'm going to be taking more breath into my daily life this next week.
I love that. And I'm sure it was Cliff that asked the question because it sounds like a deep, meaningful question.
I never ask questions.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Sounds like something he would have asked you casually over coffee, of course.
Yeah.
Well, so Socrates said that wonder begins. Wonder is the beginning of wisdom.
Mm, very true. Well, Cliff, since you're already speaking, do you want to share what you shared?
No, thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead. um, yeah, pausing. It's a lifetime work because you know, sometimes people the idea of pausing is like doing nothing, and I will look back on that in the at the end of class because sometimes pausing could also be breath work. So I will give some techniques or remind people some techniques about pausing. And so yeah, sometimes pausing in order to not be into, because sometimes when we are with people, we have to remind ourselves that it's not about the me anymore, it's about the we. And so when we let go of the me and we embrace the we kind of free ourselves. And so then the problem or the solutions become easier. And so let's say someone come to us and they insult us, or we feel insulted, even if maybe they not have said an insult, then if we understand it's like a we thing, then the pause can help with understanding almost like a systematic um a systematic solution to a problem that is also systematic, that is more societal or cosmic. I don't know if everybody followed me on that, but that's what I had as breakthrough in this question.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, it is a lifelong practice, the pause, because there's always going to be more things that come into our sphere to potentially react to or pause and respond to. So yeah, it'll be ongoing for sure. And like Marlon said, we're all still learning. So we're here for the lifelong learning, essentially. Ronnie Vaughn, how about you? Oh,
Or okay, if I can get my mute button to come back where I want it to. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say this whole thing has been like kismet for me because I downloaded the Human Design app ages ago and never opened it. 3 days ago, I opened the app and went through and did everything. So I'm a generator 6-2 and my role is a hermit. I don't know exactly all of the things that means yet, but I'm coming to it. I think the thing that Tisha and I talked about for me that resonated most was when you spoke about recognizing that we may just be a vessel for the experience, and the experience may not be about us. And I think that is very powerful. And I would really love to be able to learn to recognize that a little quicker and a little better. Because when things happen, it's so hard for you to take that pause and that breath. Because I am so quick to want to jump in, especially if it's something like pertaining to my family. And taking that pause and realizing that, yes, this moment is not about me or even we, but it's about all of us. And I would really love to get to that point where I can be kind of not innocuous to things, but not take them so personally and recognize that I am just a vessel to carry that through. So that will be a goal I will definitely be working on.
Mm, that's powerful. Thank you. Yeah. And that, you're bringing it back to the whole concept of the responsibility that we have um, in ourselves when it comes to that. So I love that.
It's interesting that the word responsibility has the word response at the beginning.
Ah, clever. That's why we have projectors. Guiding us to those key insights. Yes, I love that. Okay, so now we have some time for Q&A. If anyone had any questions, any burning questions about the things that we covered that they would like more information about or more clarity about, now would be the time.
Megan, I guess my question is just about Kabbalah in general,
Mhm.
about advancing my knowledge. And I probably have 30 books about the Kabbalah, and I've read a lot of things, and I'm looking at the Zephyr Sira, and it's like gobbledygook. I've even learned the Hebrew alphabet. I can sing you my alphabet. So I'm really trying, but I think I need a source for some good guidance,
Hmm.
um, and how to better serve myself and taking this plunge.
Yeah. I would highly recommend they have on Kabbalah.com, there are some like intro master classes that are like pay what you can. So you could just pay like $1. Um, that I recommend to kind of get like the fundamental understanding. And even like when I first took Kabbalah 1, it was online, just like recorded,
Yeah,
but they still walk you through like the activities that I'm talking about. Like no person was in front of me telling me to do that. It was up to me to like, for example, make that phone call to my friend because the online course was telling me to.
right.
So it's really about, if you are open to that kind of thing. Also, there's a Kabbalah Center in Los Angeles, but I don't know how far that is from you. It's
Yeah,
in
I think it's about 2 hours or something,
Oh yeah.
from
So
Palm Springs or something like that.
yeah. So too far to go in person,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
um would recommend taking like the intro master class just so you can get like the foundational understanding, and then if you have an interest in more, you can go for more. And then I also I do workshops and different things where I teach about Kabbalah more intensively, and I also do one-on-one sessions
yeah. Okay.
um, are specifically around Tikkun healing. So, when I talked earlier about like your correction, there's actually ways to look at your astrology and see, and your human design to see like what are the biggest areas that you need to like help correct in this lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Of course, yeah. And I'll when I wrap up this session for tonight, I'll send like some Kabbalah resources as well.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone else have questions on things that we talked about?
Mine is just a quick question.
Mhm.
So actually two questions. Where does Kabbalah originate? And also, would you like to go briefly, like more in depth with Tikkun?
So Kabbalah originated from the Jewish community. In many circles, they call it Jewish quote unquote mysticism. I don't use the word mysticism just because it sounds like kind of woo woo, and it's very much like a technology. So I don't usually, I try not to use that word. However, it did come from the Jewish community. Essentially, the book, the Zohar, which is the source material for Kabbalah, is based on the Old Testament or the Torah. And so essentially, there was a Jewish scholar who did an interpretation or decoding of the Torah and said, okay, all of these stories that you see in the Torah, here's what they actually mean. They're giving us the laws of the universe. It's just encoded. And so here's the decoding of all of those stories. Here's what they actually mean, and here's how to use the wisdom from those stories in your life in the universe. And for many years, it was like forbidden to teach Kabbalah or to learn Kabbalah. It kind of elevated in stages. So at first, it was only Jewish men over the age of 40 who had a certain level of education were allowed to learn Kabbalah or study Kabbalah. Then it expanded to men of Jewish men of all ages. Like it was a very gradual release. And then it was like, oh, and women are allowed to. And people who are not Jewish are allowed to. So um, the the people who founded the Kabbalah Center, um, the Rav Berg and his wife Karen, they started that center in New York, but they went through a lot of like, passing out the Zohar on the street, and Karen at one point got a concussion because someone beat her almost to death with a baseball bat because she was trying to spread this wisdom. Like it was that under wraps. My theory is the reason that organized religions typically don't want people to access Kabbalah is because it really does give you the autonomy to have that individual connection with the source or God or whatever you call it. Um, and it gives you kind of like all the laws for attracting, manifesting, abundance. Like it gives you all of the laws for obtaining all of that in your life. And so that's my theory as to why it was kept so closely guarded, was because many people in organized religions who prefer that you have to pay a certain price and go to a certain building and walk a certain way and wear certain things, like I feel like they did not want this to be widespread. So that's like the origin story. For the Tikkun, I that's definitely something that I would have to go into more uh in like an in-depth session, and it's very individual. Like your Tikkun is personal to you, and what that correction looks like. But yeah, Tisha, did you have any questions?
I was just curious to understand personally for you, Megan, because I know you went to Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
hmm I'm curious to hear kind of your transition from some of those more traditional beliefs to Kabbalah,
Yeah.
and what were just some of the things you faced personally in that transition.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was that when I was in like the Catholic system, if that's what you want to call it, I experienced um, pretty much a lot of prejudice, both based on, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomics. And so that I never really felt welcome. And so because I didn't feel welcome, I was seeking something else where I did feel welcome. Um, and I didn't find it for a while. For a while, I kind of like pushed all organized religion aside, because of not feeling welcome. And then I grew into like this. Okay, now I'm just spiritual. Now I find God in nature. All of those things. And I still find God in nature. I feel like that's the easiest way for me to connect to the source is through nature. Whether it's, the cats that I have around me, or if it's like actually going out into the trees, etc. Um, but yeah, and then like I said, through human design, once I learned that Kabbalah was one of the 5 strands of human design, I wanted to go deeper into all of the strands. And I had already studied the Hindu chakra system growing up. I'd already studied a little bit about the I Ching, and I was aware of kind of like, you know, the I obviously I went into astrology a lot. So I had already kind of studied the other branches, and then I was drawn to studying Kabbalah for that reason. And I got so much transformation within myself and in my life through Kabbalah that that's what made me want to study at higher levels and to start teaching it as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course. All right. So if that's all of our, Cliff, did you have any
Thank
questions? Are you good? Okay. So I would love for us this week to have a few reflections. First one is, where could you practice pausing and responding instead of reacting? And what would it look like to embody more certainty in your life? Again, certainty that everything is coming from the light and it's all here to help me transform. So, meaning certainty that I know it's here to teach me something, as opposed to certainty that, oh, this is exactly how I planned it. And then what is a repeating challenge that comes up for you that might be an indicator of your Tikkun, right? So if you see a certain type of person or situation that keeps replaying itself in your life, that's usually an indicator that you still have to learn something that you haven't quite mastered, and that it's there to teach you something with involving your main correction or Tikkun. So spotting those repeating patterns it's something that's going to help you to discover what your Tikkun is and what you need to correct. Okay. And then for our final session, we are going to be integrating Kabbalah and human design in daily life. So we'll do a little bit more workshopping, right? Where I'll have people kind of share some real life examples, and we'll walk through like, what does it look like to follow, for example, in human design, to follow your authority in that situation. What does that look like? Or to have certainty or be like the light in that situation. What does that look like? Right. So like really kind of giving real world application. Okay, and that's next Thursday, March 12th at 6:30 p.m. And then I'm gonna give us a little time for the takeaway, posting a takeaway. So this week's prize is a 90-minute Kabbalistic Tikkun healing session with me. Again, this is where I look at your human design, your astrology, and we go into what are the areas that need correcting and how can we work through those corrections in order to transform. And I know, so Tisha, are you back on?
Well, I'm going to attempt to download the app and see if I could still log on, but I'm going to attempt. I'm going to attempt.
So I'll give us a few minutes now. So it's just one takeaway from today's class, and then tagging the two Instagram accounts, so Reconnectivism and Reconnect Healing Menu, and then just type in the chat once you're done. And I'll give us a few minutes now. We have for our winner, drum roll please. Da-da-da! Marlon! Congratulations!
Thank you.
All right. And I love seeing every week, Marlon always has the most like beautiful, illustrious backgrounds for his takeaway posts. I'm just like, I love this. So creative.
Thank you. I drew that a few days ago.
Oh, yeah, I figured because so he's an artist, he does drawing, and he posted it with one of his background. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the Cliff is going to lead us in some breath work and our closeout, but just before he does that, I wanted to let everyone know that our next in-person Reconnect event is Sunday, April 12th at Will Rogers Memorial Park in Beverly Hills, and it's going to be a picnic, community building. He'll also do a big circle with guided breath work, affirmations, sacred drumming, movement, dance, self-defense. He does so many things brilliantly. So he's going to be leading all of that on April 12th. So we hope that you will all join us for that. And for now, I'm going to give it to Cliff to do our closing.
Just give a round of applause to Megan for an amazing class.
Thank you.
So, we studied today with Kabbalah that, when something happen in life, the best things to do is to pause. And sometimes we kind of like, yeah, pause and do what? One thing that we can never stop is our breath, and what we can never stop is our heartbeat. So we have breath and we have rhythm.
Mhm.
So some people might be familiar with who's raise your hand if you're familiar with box breathing. Raise your hand if you're familiar with 478 stress reducing breathing. All right. So for those people who don't know 478, well, figure it out. No, I'm just kidding. It's important to laugh. All right. And so the laugh could be one moment, but some situation you cannot laugh, you cannot do too much things because the person in front of you, let's say we're being insulted or we feel a certain way, might interpret that as a mockery or something like that. So when we pause, I really advise people to do box breathing. So we're gonna do box breathing together now. Now, when a situation bother us or it's a high stakes situation or flight situation, our body have a tendency to breathe from the chest because that's the fight or flight response. And so we want, when we do that together, to breathe from the stomach. Really think of like breathing from the lower part of the stomach when we're gonna do the breathing. So we're not gonna close our eyes because we're gonna think first. So I'm gonna ask you now, before the breathing, I'm gonna ask you to think. So you close your eyes for 20 seconds and think of a situation that you encountered that was very negative and that you felt you about to punch the person or you're about to call that person out or you're about to do something, right? Now let's think about that for 5 more seconds. Four, three, two, one. Now open your eyes. You're in front of that person or you're in front of that situation. Now let's do some box breathing. So we're going to breathe from the nose in five. So inhale, one, two, three, four, five. Hold your breath. One, two, three, four, five. Exhale from the mouth. One, two, three, four, five. Hold your breath. One, two, three, four, five. Inhale. And now do it without me, and we're going to do that for 30 seconds. And while you're doing that, this box breathing, make sure that you think of the situation, the person, and make sure that you feel that you really connect to your body, to yourself, and to the cosmos, and almost see yourself like you're an astronaut and you're looking at yourself and you have the cosmic perspective on Earth, and it will help you to have more objectivity, and it will help you to melt the problem into no problem. So we're gonna do 10 more seconds of that in your own rhythm. Now I'm gonna give you another breathing technique. It's the 7-8 breathing technique. It's a stress reducing method that was developed by Dr. Andrew. It's my middle name, Andrew. Well, but that's not me. It's a different person. This technique aims to reduce anxiety, lower blood pressure, and improve sleep by calming the nervous system. People in the military use that in combat zone in order to fall asleep in less than 2 and 5 minutes when they're just like in the middle of nowhere. So it goes by inhaling through the nose for 4 seconds, then holding the breath for 7 seconds, and then exhaling loudly through the mouth for 8 seconds, while doing a sound that is a little bit like, it's not loud, but it's just a whoosh sound just from the mouth. It's not loud because we want to use this technique and not and almost showing people that we're just breathing. We're not doing a technique. Because all the people say, "Oh, you're not replying to me. What are you doing? Are you doing technique? Blah blah blah. You're sighing. Do I bother you?" So all right, so now we're gonna do again. So now we're gonna do 20 seconds of closing your eyes and imagining a situation. It could be a fictional situation or a situation that you have been. Someone is insulting you. Someone is breaking your peace. Someone is telling you you'll not be able to do that for 20 seconds. 5 seconds more of that. Just 20 seconds. We're not going to torture ourselves here. All right. And now we open the eyes and we're going to do the 4-7-8 breathing technique. So let's all inhale. I'm going to give you five. So exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now inhale in 4 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale loudly through the mouth for 8 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale from the nose for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath for 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale loudly through the mouth for 8 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for 7 seconds. Exhale for 8 seconds. And now it's on your own for 30 seconds. All right. The last thing that I'm gonna ask you, so like you can breathe the way you want now. I'm gonna just repeat an affirmation and you repeat after me. And the first affirmation is I am worthy of love. I'm gonna ask everyone to unmute. It's gonna sound a little bit messy, but it's a beautiful mess. Um, and we're gonna just repeat all together. I am worthy of love. But first we start in our mind, then we whisper it, then we talk it out loud. And then after we talk it out loud, we're gonna do 3 times each times the mantra. And then we're gonna talk it out loud, and then it's gonna transform from I am worthy of love to I am protecting my love. So my protecting my love out loud, then whisper, then in my mind. So it's like a boomerang of mantra. All right, everybody is ready. I'm gonna guide you into this inner and outer affirmation. All right, so now everybody think I am worthy of love. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of love. Now, everybody whisper, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of love. Now, everybody talk it out loud. No more volume.
Love.
I am worthy of
love.
I am worthy of love. I am worthy of love.
I am
I
worthy of
am worthy of
I am
love.
worthy of love.
Now, if you can, a little bit louder. I am
I
worthy
am
of
worthy of
love.
love.
I am worthy of love. I
I
am
am
worthy
worthy
of
of
love.
I am
I'm worthy of love.
I
Now
am
we
Worthy
now
of
we
love.
reverse it. I am protecting my love.
I am
I am
I am
protecting
protecting
protecting my love.
I
I
am
am
I am
protecting
protecting my love.
I am
I am
protecting
protecting my love.
Now a little bit less loud.
I
I
am
am protecting my love.
I am
I am
protecting
protecting my love.
I
I am
am
protecting my love. Now we whisper it.
love.
I am protecting my love. I am
I am
protecting my
protecting
love. I am
I am
protecting my
protecting
love.
my love. I
I
am
am
Now
protecting
just in our mind now. I am protecting my love. I am protecting my love. I am protecting my love. All right. So those breath works, the box, the famous box breathing, and the 4-7-8 are very good tools sometimes because a lot of people have a lot of energy when they need to pause and they're facing conflicts. So sometimes to do something, the best thing is to breathe. So it's still doing nothing, but it helps you to dissolve and to reduce your stress. Another technique also is to leave the room for 90 seconds because in 90 seconds the nervous system is able to completely calm down and to smile because when you smile you give to your body oh it's okay, nothing. Even if you fake the smile until you make it and then it deactivates. That's a book that I read about anger management because I'm never angry, just kidding.
And I definitely didn't get him that book.
Never be mad and smile at the same time.
and the man and the mantra it's important to be worthy of love and it's important to love yourself, but it's important to protect your energy. It could be protecting your energy by just knowing what is good for your body. It could be knowing who is good for your body or knowing sometimes physically defending yourself, or the best method to win a fight is to not fight or to avoid the fight. An intelligent person finds solution to a fight, and a wise person avoid the fight, find solution to avoid the fight. So I hope this will serve you. Make sure to practice that. If you don't practice, I believe between practice and theory there's a bridge, and it's called the bridge of understanding. So you have theory and practice, and if you cross that bridge together, then you will have the bridge to your higher self. Any question or any breakthrough while we had those breathing and everything?
I was just going to share. So as we were exhaling, I was really able to, like, my heartbeat would start off really fast, and by the end of the exhale, it would slow down. So it was really fascinating to feel like my body was catching the rhythm, but it was interesting because at first it scared me a little bit as my heart was beating really fast, and then it would slow down, and then I was like, okay, we're coming down from what we were feeling.
Mm.
You know what?
Nice.
I feel that too, teacher. Like, but with me, it was the exhaling that kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety. Like, oh man, I'm running out of air. 8 seconds is a long
Gonna get
time.
to 8.
And then I'll cheat. I'll just
One thing,
About the
one
cheats.
thing, one thing that I would advise you, Marlon, for you, because you're a reflector and also because you had anxiety, that's what I call the death breath. So basically, you empty all, just to the point that you feel you're about to die, and then you will never. I tried when I was younger because I was doing a lot of underwater things to like
Mm.
empty all my air. your mechanism will kick, and then it starts something. Oh wow, I'm alive, you know. And
Yeah.
it really gives you this feeling of gratitude for breath itself, and from the habit that yes, we can do all those breath work, but there is a force. There's something that keeps a beating without us, and that if we understand this little thing, we can be grateful every day, all the time, every second.
Cliff, I just want to say that that really was beautiful, because for me that clicked as a metaphor of kind of working through something and being the vessel. Like we were completely reliant on you kind of taking care of us and guiding us through that. And then, like you said, you get to that point where you think that you're running out of air, but on the other side of it, you're right there and everything is okay. And it's beautiful because it's also going to, in the future, push you past that panic point when you feel anxiety. You're going to have that recall of memory that, hey, Cliff taught me how to do this breathing, and I'm going to be all right. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And in
Yeah,
ways that, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, it really had what we were talking about, that certainty. Like that is that certainty.
It is.
yeah. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes, honestly, listening to Megan's class, that I just did the breath work, and I really advise everybody to really do that for 20 minutes, like the boys, even when you are not in a conflictual situation, because the more you can master breath work, because it's not, sometimes nothing is happening and we feel there's a tiger chasing us, you know. And so if we allow the breath to go through, I think we're becoming, even more vessel, because we create space. How could the light pass through something if we're so tight, you know? And I'm giving you example. I've been dancing since 2018. It's been almost 8 years. Anyway, a long time. And I can feel if I do stretching, if I do breath work, when the beats start, I don't even have to perform. I'm into being, and then the light go through me. And I think we are vessels if we allow ourselves to be. And sometimes people who have a lot of problems, they or run their life so tight, and then they wonder why they don't have love for themselves or for others. They don't even have space for another person. They don't have space for themselves, to have a good time. So yeah, breathing is so important, and it probably helped me in situations that I probably would have not be there if it was not for some breathing techniques. So I'm glad that it helped,
Yeah.
and I can pass that along. And please practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Cliff, and thank you all for being here. Cliff, do you want to lead us in the gesture?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So this is the
I got
reconnect.
both hands free.
It started as, for connect, it was we have inner peace. So then I'm sharing the peace. And then with reconnect, that's when we intertwine the fingers and we become one. So it's the oneness. Okay. So, and then when we do this, then Cliff is going to count us in and we're going to make the sound,
That's it.
That's
It
the
creates
goal.
laughter.
It's the laughter component. So reconnect is all about
Yeah.
laughter, oneness, and love. And so we open ourselves up, we laugh, and the is the universal sound amongst all cultures of I agree with you, I affirm you, I hear you. So Cliff, if you wanna.
Yeah. And if we laugh together, we agree together, automatically it's a spiritual engineering, it's a spiritual technology to create love. So, we laugh together, we want together. That's what we are and feel when we are people where there's true love. So okay, so let's start without the hands drop. And so I would say reconnect, and then we say we are reconnected. And when I said for what, we say for love. And then I say we say So ready? So when we say reconnect, we raise our arms. Are you ready?
All right.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, reconnect.
Reconnect.
We are
We are
reconnected.
reconnected.
We are reconnected.
We are
We are
reconnected.
reconnected
For what?
With love.
For
for
love.
love.
For
love.
love. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And so it is.
So it is.
Carry it
Good
on the
stuff.
gesture with your family. Take some pictures and transform those pictures into moment of collective consciousness that will build more love, because this world need way more love than anything else.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. And we look forward to seeing you next week for our next session.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yes,
much,
much
Megan.
love, y'all.
Of course.
And
Thank you so
thank
much,
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good
Thanks,
night. Thank you.
Marlon.
Bye, you guys.
Ronnie
Bye
Bot, thank
bye.
you so much.
Mhm.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Bye
Good
Have
bye.
a good
night.
night.
Good night.